All right, hello guys and girls. My name's Mr. McCoy, and I'm going to talk to you all a little bit today about a book that I think you might find interesting. How many of you all have ever woke up and just had a terrible morning? Has that happened to you before? Have you ever woke up and said, "Oh my goodness, life just kind of sucks today"? Sure, right? We've all had that experience. Now, imagine if instead of being an able-bodied, fairly typical teenager, instead you were confined to a wheelchair by some horrible disease and you only weighed about 50 pounds even though you were 20 years old. Can you imagine how much more difficult life would be? That'd be pretty much a significant challenge, right? So this book by Mr. Shane Burcaw is called Laughing at My Nightmare. And it is a very intimate look at his disability. He's very honest. He doesn't try to sugarcoat it, and he tells it just like it is, but with a sense of humor. The book came about because he started writing a blog about it. And so he told people about his day-to-day challenges and how life was difficult, and people started responding to that. Either they had family members that were disabled, or they could identify with his daily struggles. He talks about everything: puberty, sex, drinking, all the kind of stuff that you might think about, and he's in a wheelchair, right? He tells you those experiences, how embarrassing it has to be dressed daily by his father, how embarrassing it is that he has to have his brother help him use the bathroom. And he does it all through humor. So he tries to look at his disability, and that's why the title of the book is called Laughing at My Nightmare. So I'm going to read a short little passage to you about his first day of middle school. I think, one, you'll find it interesting. Two, you'll pick up on sort of his sense of humor, and that might give you a reason why you might want to read the book yourself. To combat the possibility of this imagined scenario ever becoming a reality, I spent a considerable amount of time obsessing about the way kids would perceive me when middle school started. I bought cool clothing, thinking that if I wore the same clothes as them, they'd have an easier time seeing me as their equal. I continued to let my hair grow, since being rebellious and having long hair would obviously be a sign to people that I was normal. I ran through potential conversations in my mind and practiced asking for help in cool ways that didn't sound pathetic and annoying. Middle school taught me a lot about meeting new people, which inspired this list. Things not to do when meeting someone in a wheelchair for the first time: spit on them, tell them how great it is for them to be out in public, hit them, rustle their hair affectionately, kick them, throw them out of their wheelchair, push them down a flight of stairs, call them buddy, steal their money, or challenge them to a foot race. Then middle school started. Sure enough, in my first class was the first day I was assigned a seat next to someone I didn't know, a pretty girl who was definitely one of the popular girls in her elementary school. Upon realizing she had been assigned a seat next to the wheelchair kid, the facial expression that she tried to secretly flash to her friends told me I had already been labeled as weird. My palms doubled their output of sweat. We sat next to each other in silence as I discovered I was not nearly as brave and socially skilled as I had convinced myself to be in the weeks leading up to this moment. "Say something, you idiot." "Hi, I'm Shane," I said, my voice probably noticeably shaking. "Hey Shane, I'm Samantha. Do you like East Hills?" This was an odd question for a pretty girl to ask, and she asked it with a clear condescending tone in her voice, like she was speaking to a toddler. She already thought I was mentally challenged. "Yeah, it's pretty cool, but the hallways are so effing crowded. I accidentally ran over like 4 people on the way to class." Cursing was an excellent way to show social normalcy. She noticed. Her giggle was nervous but genuine. She wasn't sure if I was being funny on purpose. I continued, "Hey, could you possibly be my helper for this class? I just need help with small stuff, like getting my books out of my book bag. I would do it myself, but I'd probably end up on the floor." She laughed a little harder this time. There's nothing like meeting someone who quickly understands my sense of humor. I watched her facial expressions and heard her voice completely shift over the next few minutes as she began to realize I was a normal kid. My sense of humor allowed her to see past my wheelchair. Getting people to see past my wheelchair was one of my biggest concerns when I was young. This desire came from not only my interactions at school, but also a particular event during a summer camp for disabled kids that made me question how non-disabled people perceive me. Please don't attempt to shake my hand. I know it's tempting. My severely atrophied arms are really sexy, but literally the only possible outcome of trying to shake my hand is an extremely awkward situation. I will chuckle and say something like, I can't really, and you will realize that I can't even extend my arm, let alone shake back, forcing you to pretend that you had meant to pat me on the head all along like I'm a cute little wheelchair puppy. You will probably assume that I didn't notice your creative on-the-fly problem solving. After all, people in wheelchairs have no social skills. But I did notice, and now I can think about, is how ridiculous it would be if you introduced yourself to everyone by patting them on the heads. Please consider utilizing fist bumps or tiny kisses on the cheek to greet me. I prefer a little tongue, but I won't be picky. So as you can see, he's got sort of a raucous sense of humor. He doesn't mind cursing in his book. He doesn't mind poking fun at himself. And the idea of the book is to sort of experience the difficulties of life through somebody that obviously has a lot more difficulties than we do. So I hope you found it interesting. If you want to pick it up, it's called Laughing at My Nightmare, and it's by Shane Burcaw. And he also has a website where he maintains a blog, so you can do that as well. Thoughts, questions, anything that you want to know about? Not so much. Y'all are a quiet group this morning. Anybody think that it might be something you would enjoy reading? A few of y'all? Cool. I'd try picking up. It really is hilarious. And there's some of the passages I wouldn't read to you, but him getting his first girlfriend, his first time hooking up with his girlfriend, that's some pretty funny stuff. And he goes into, like I said, he's not shy. He is very descriptive about that process and how it works. And it's pretty awkward, as you can imagine. So pick it up, check it out. Thanks for y'all's time.